Hey, so today, do family and friends make you feel guilty about trying to live a self sufficient life? You're not contributing to society, but you're benefiting from society. You've heard that before, right? The whole big struggle of social expectations from family and friends while you're trying to live your own path in life, right? Let's talk about why this happens and let me share some thoughts with you on how you can deal with it. Welcome to Goose Pond Hideout. It's all about freedom, and I'm Rob. So the struggle is real, right? We all deal, we live in this society where everybody, has to fit in and everybody tends to be the same. We tend to associate with people that are just like us. So, our family, our friends, our co-workers, the people, we all tend to be kind of similar, right? And, even things like if you're overweight and out of shape, for example, and you decide that you're going to join a gym and improve your diet, the people around you, they get uncomfortable with that because you improving, you know, hurts their feelings because they're always using the excuse that, well, this is just the way that it is. This is the way that I am. And if you're able to change, it makes them uncomfortable. So they try consciously or unconsciously, to sabotage you. And that's just true of a bazillion things in life, that when you're in a group and you stray out of that group in whatever it is, they're going to try to pull you back in, right? Let me know if anything like this has happened to you in your life. So specifically what I'm talking about is what's important to us is the whole self-sufficient living thing, right? And whatever that means to you, you may be in your situation and you're saying, this job, spending money, the rat race, if you want to call it that. But you go to work and you earn money, and then you come home and you spend the money that you earned, and you pay taxes all along the way, income tax, sales tax, whatever it is. And you buy clothes and you buy new cars and you buy new phones, and you're in that system and you're contributing to society, right? And then you say, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to be a little bit more self-sufficient. I'm going to have a garden and grow some of my own food. I don't need so many new clothes. I can drive an older car. I can, use the same phone for 4 or 5 years till the battery gives out, or till we're forced to update with some, the system won't support your phone anymore. I mean, that's happened to me. And I'm trying to think of how old my smartphone is. It's a Motorola, and I'm going to say it's 4 or 5 years old now, but I could be wrong there. But I usually use them until they die and then break. The battery gives up. I had one where you plug in the USB cord, the little adapter broke, so I couldn't charge it anymore. That was 1 or 2 phones ago. But I'm losing my train of thought here. Well, self-sufficiency. So as you become more self-sufficient, your family, friends, the co-workers, whatever, the people around you, they're going to try to pull you back. And one of the things that they do is they guilt trip you in that, well, you're benefiting from society. You're using the roads. We've got the police department for your safety, hospitals for your care, the electricity, all the utilities, all the things that society provides you with. You're benefiting from all that, But because you're living self-sufficient, you're not contributing, right? We've heard that. I'm sure you've heard that. And it's just, it really, it's a belief. It isn't a fact. It's just like an opinion, a belief. They feel that way because that's the life that they're in, and they want to feel good about the choices they've made. And if you go and make different choices, it makes them uncomfortable. And so that's why they try to pull you back in. And I mean, I just think about things sometimes and just think of how insanely crazy that it is. But like, for example, the median income today in the United States is, somewhere between 50 and 55,000, give or take. And I remember when nobody made that kind of money. Even doctors and lawyers and politicians didn't make that kind of money. And now it's the average. And our society is based upon people earning money and spending money, that consumerism. And because you've got to have people paying in because there's so much stuff being paid out. And if there aren't people paying in, the system's going to collapse. And that's kind of where we're headed right now, right? Is we've got the baby boomer generation that's drawn out of the system, and we're short on young people. People aren't having babies anymore. We're not at the birth rate to replace our population, which is one of the reasons they want all the immigrants to come in. And so we got nobody paying in, and our system is about to collapse. And I was thinking about this last night while I was mulling over my thoughts that I was going to share with you. And imagine if a large portion of the population said, and again, keep in mind the thought that the average, median income is 50 to 55,000. Imagine if a whole bunch of people said, I can get by on 24,000 a year, 1,500, 1,800, maybe $2,000 a month. I can get by on that. I can do Uber Eats and DoorDash and live in my parents' basement, and I can make just enough money to do what I want to do and not have to deal with all the stress of that workforce earn, spend lifestyle, right? Imagine what that would do to our economy, right? We'd be in big trouble. And that's why they don't want you to do it. That's why they're so against people being self-sufficient. People having chickens and gardens and rabbits and hunting and fishing and being able to take care of yourself and living a frugal lifestyle it scares them to death that we're not going to be able to, to support all the systems that are in place. And you see that all the time with the grids going down all the time, and bridges are collapsing, and look what's going on in the aviation industry with all the air traffic control system and that. I mean, they're just having all kinds of problems, and it's because the system's falling apart because they can't spend the money to fix it. So that's the kinds of things that be thinking about. So what can you do about it? Well, like back when we moved on 2005, when we moved on to our sailboat, one of the things that we did is we bought a bunch of 3-ring binders, like back in the school days, the smaller, inch and a half, 3, it was the small, not the big giant ones, but the smaller, just white binders. And I printed out a little sheet of our sailboat and put it in the front outside of the binder. And then we put all kinds of things inside about why we were doing it and what the benefits were going to be, and explaining, to our family and friends all the things that, what was going on with our thinking of why we were, leaving the rat race real world and selling everything that we owned and gonna live on the sailboat and cruise around. And one of the things that we did was we bought I guess it'd be called the DVD, right? Because it's a movie. Back when the little plastic boxes, like a CD, but DVD, I guess it is when it's a movie. And it was the movie Captain Ron. and it's, you know, check it out. I highly recommend, you know, even though it's about sailing in that, it's really about living self-sufficient, and a suburban middle-class family that's up to their eyeballs in debt, you know, second mortgage on the house, and they're just barely surviving even though they're working like crazy, and they inherit this sailboat and they go live on it, and how it changes their life, and they end up, you know, learning that that's spend and earn world is just foolish. So check out that Captain Ron movie, and think about, if when you're in the city, the suburbs, and you're going to transition to your self-sufficient life, and you're going to be growing, you know, buying some land, putting up a tiny house, living in an RV, living on a sailboat, you know, whatever it is you're going to be doing, is, you know, think about making up like a 3-ring binder or something, or now I guess you could do it like on a flash drive, thumb drive, whatever, to explain to the people why you're doing it, and you're not doing it to hurt them, and you're not mooching off society, because you're still you know, you're still spending money, you're still paying property taxes, you're still registering your car even if it's an older car. So be thinking about all that, because it's all about your freedom, right? Freedom! Yeah, that's what it's about.